Ouachita One Table. Ouachita One Table podcast is a deeper discussion of issues facing our business communities. Over this series, we'll invite community leaders in businesses, the arts, nonprofits, culture, and government as we discuss the issues that strike at the heart of the Chamber's mission for the greater good of our parish. Topics such as workforce development, education, quality of life, economic development, and more. Ouachita One Table. This podcast is a partnership project of the Monroe and West Monroe, West Ouachita Chambers of Commerce and was produced by Godly Works Productions in the Louisiana Catalyst Podcast Studios at the Benoit Community Center. Now, here are your hosts, Roy Heatherly and Christopher Kelly.
Hello and welcome back to Ouachita One Table, where we take a deeper look into the community, into the region, look at things that are impacting our business community. I'm Roy Heatherly with the Monroe Chamber of Commerce. Today we're going to be interviewing Aimee Kane, my good friend, my old neighbor. She's with St. Francis, and I had to write all this down, but she is the Vice President of Business Development Strategy and Foundation President for St. Francis Medical Center. And I'm joined with my co-host today, my good friend,
Christopher Kelly with the West Monroe, West Ouachita Chamber of Commerce. Thanks, Roy, and thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
We're very excited. There's a lot of great things happening at St. Francis, isn't there?
Yes, yeah. A lot of great things.
So, we had the mayor on earlier, and he talked about the master plan for downtown that the city has. But St. Francis has been working on one for a long time, haven't they?
Yes, we have.
Well, you want to tell us a little bit about that?
I've actually been with St. Francis for 16 years, and in those 16 years, I think we've probably done 4 or 5 versions of looking at what should our future be for, for Monroe and for our region.
Sure.
What does St. Francis look like? And over those years, we flopped back and forth with looking at our North Campus when we owned the North Campus at the time, and looking at downtown and looking at the dynamics of our community, what services were offered, and where was the right place to be. And, we began in 1913 downtown, and we believed that our mission and our roots needed to stay there. And so we committed to that downtown campus and actually formulated a complete facility master plan in the middle of COVID. And finished that. That allowed us to have kind of a map and a pathway for the next 20 to 25 years. And that pathway really starts now. It's starting this year. We are, if you haven't gone by the hospital recently on Jackson Street, which is where we started the painting, we're actually painting the entire facility. I've laughed a couple of times in talking with people at different events. I said, we were like the 50 Shades of Cream. Well, we're now going to be one shade of white. With a lot of blue accents to go along with it. So it's just giving us a refresh. Right. And somebody asked me and said, well, St. Francis kind of has a little bit of a drab on the outside. It's an older building. It's been added on over the years. And, I said to him, we are smiling on the inside, and we kind of look like we're frowning on the outside. We need that smile again. So we put the smile back on, and we've got it started. So that's the first phase of that. That's about a $5 million investment that we're making to take that outside facade and refresh it, so you can actually identify the campus. Sure. That's one of the things, as the mayor probably talked about, is looking at our region and looking at all of the downtown area, and how do you identify things? You can identify the arts and cultural district. You can identify the downtown development area. And how do you identify the medical district? How do you identify St. Francis? So this is one of our ways to start doing that. So it'll take a little bit to get all those buildings painted and done, but that second phase will then take us into what we'd like to do next, which is start to look at the new investment that we've recently made in purchasing 4 buildings adjacent to our campus, right around on Anagreno Park. And it was First Monroe Church, the Baptist Church. We purchased those 4 buildings in August. And of course, they are going to have to build their building, which will be our neighbors again on Tower Drive. So we're excited about that, but it gives us an opportunity to start to have some other places to begin to consolidate our 1 and 2 little buildings off in the downtown area closer to our campus, so that things are within walking distance of a block or so for us.
So you're using the word campus over and over. That's more like a centralized, all one-stop shop.
Yes.
So instead of being so diffused, because you are a regional hub, we have cancer treatment, we have imaging centers, we have surgery, we have all of these things, consolidating that down so people can identify it clearly, understand its impact
We look at things kind of different ways. You've got emergency services with our trauma designation,
Sure.
recently our helipad. You look at things as an inpatient. You have inpatient beds, which basically is acute care facility, which is what we are downtown. But we also have our outpatient that's located downtown and at the community health center. So again, that shows the access to care.
Sure.
Yes, you can be located in one area in a sense of our
still-
campus, but you've got to have other accesses to that care to then drive them that way. So we've got, I think it's 25 different other locations of our medical group in various specialties or primary care physicians, internal medicines that are located from Ruston to Monroe to Sterlington to Schwartz. So, again, that access to care for us.
Yeah.
So as you redevelop your campus, you have some unique and interesting programs. I think you're going to have a child care center for employees. Is that right or wrong?
We are.
And then you're going to have a medical program, an education program. Can you talk a little bit about the education program?
I can. Actually, our graduate medical education program is in conjunction with VCOM. And the opportunity for us to be able to have that educational level at St. Francis to be able to take in those students and start to grow our own and hopefully keep them here is so important. We recognize, we've got an aging not only population, but we have an aging physician base in our community, and we've got to make sure that we start to look at how do we fill back those specialties as people start to retire.
So plugging them directly from the educational pathway.
Exactly, and that's the goal, and really that's what VCOM's mission is to
Sure.
really grow the own, keep them in the area, keep them especially in the rural areas, so that you've got people who have worked in or who have lived in the area who now want to work in this area. And so we're just very, very glad. It's about 5,400 square feet, give or take a few, of a suite that we've built out on our 7th floor.
Wow.
It's actually just about finished, waiting on furniture to come in. And it will actually house the opportunity, the different areas for administration to be up there for the education program, for sleep rooms for them when they're doing their rotations, areas for them to work and to have conferences and a kitchen and the type of things that you would need as a resident here. So.
Right. So, City of Monroe is doing this re-envisioning, this master plan. You all are too. You've just recently now committed to having this presence in downtown for more than 100 years. So, what else is in that master plan that y'all are looking at? You've spoken about this educational component, but
well, we continually look. So our biggest, I guess, our key things that we really have focused on over the years, and really are the spotlighted healthcare facility or place to go for care, is our women's, our children's, and our critical care services. We have the only level 3 NICU, the only level 2 PICU, the only level 3 labor and delivery, and now the largest adult ICU unit with 42 beds.
Wow.
And as many as you probably had someone who was in the hospital with COVID. During COVID, and we had just finished those beds prior to COVID actually coming into the community, to our world, our lives. That was critical. We never would have been able to care for the patients that we were able to care for like we did. And our staff over that time, over the last 2 to 2.5 years now, the resiliency that they've shown has been unbelievably amazing. And it's got its challenges. I mean, we have to work through a lot of things just like everybody else does. We all had to close our doors for certain things. We had to stop certain procedures to occur during that time. We had to cut back on areas where you had to open up COVID beds and close other beds. But the biggest thing being that labor. And I think restaurants are feeling it. Everybody's feeling it. But in our case, for the nursing side of things, we have really been feeling that. And of course, we have great partners in this region with the Northeast Louisiana Healthcare Alliance. We've all been working very hard to support each other as healthcare entities in this region, not just during that time, but at any time when we're all facing challenges that we all feel a pain for. Because we all exist. We need to coexist together. We all help each other be better and stronger.
But being innovative and then plugging in these educational pathways, retaining those employees here, giving them a sense of place and identity. That's innovative.
Yes.
So, I mean, congratulations for having the forethought to plug those things in.
And for jumping into partnership with VCOM. VCOM is a critical new addition to this community, and for you all partnering with them, that's really special.
It's a golden nugget sitting there. I mean, it truly
really
is. And it's an amazing opportunity for this region from an economic development standpoint to have something like that. When we look at what all of us give back as organizations or businesses in our community and what it does to drive economic development, I mean, our payroll alone, to be able to constantly employ people, and then the trickle effect of that within the region. So they're going to be doing that same thing for us, and hopefully we get to retain them and their, hopefully at some point, families as well. So we're very excited about that and very happy to be able to have them starting to come this summer.
So speaking of that, though, you know, St. Francis, the medical facilities we have in Ouachita Parish are really regional. You just listed, I couldn't even I couldn't even repeat that list of how you are a premier facility. But that regionality is important. So people in Franklin are coming here. People in Caldwell are coming here throughout that. So how, I mean, when we talk about access to health care, what is the vision of St. Francis and being a leader in the region? How do you balance that? That's intimidating.
So I'll say this first. You know, we care for not just Region 8. It's 17 parishes in Louisiana and 3 counties in Arkansas that we cover, that people come to us for.
Okay, even bigger than I was.
Yes, it's bigger than you think, and you can imagine how many people drive from Arkansas to come here.
Sure.
So when we look at that, we don't just look at it for them driving.
Right.
We're looking at other innovative ways to do that. One is through our medical group and placing people out into the rural areas to have access to our health care. The other is the telemedicine, broadband. We're working on that right now. I got a meeting with the mayor that was sent out to be on that task force. I'm sure you're on it too, to go through that. But we really do have to see how do we grow ourselves to be able to have that access to care for everyone if they can't mobily get to us. What are the other ways to do that?
Being innovative with the approach and meeting people where their needs are.
Taking it to them.
Yeah, one of the things that we hear over and over again is transportation is an issue, whether it is for healthcare, whether it is for workforce development, and all of those dynamics. It's pretty intimidating.
Well, it is, and I do think that that's not going to be something that's going to go away. As you continually have an aging population, they may not have family members that can get them to and from the hospital or to their health care. Trying to get them to use some type of telemedicine is difficult if they're not used to doing that.
Absolutely.
So I think we're going to have to look at innovative ways. You've seen things in other parts of the United States where Uber and Lyft are doing medical transport.
Yep.
It's an
Literally
opportunity.
getting people where they need to be.
Ambulance services are partnering with hospitals to be able to do different things, to be able to provide some type of interim care, not just be in an emergent care, but interim care. So I think we're going to have to get very creative on ways that we need to adjust how we deliver today's health care and to fit the needs of those that need that health care. What are the things that will allow them to get the health care from us in their own way?
So,
what a vision.
You're making a huge, huge investment in downtown, but in this community and people. You obviously, as an organization, and you've been here personally for a long time now, talk about this buzz that's happening now, this excitement in our region. You guys are right in the middle of all of that. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I think we feel it. I know our employees are starting to feel it. I think when they see, they have pride in what they do, and they have a purpose. You don't get into healthcare just to get into healthcare. You've got a calling. We always say that over and over again. You have a mission. You have a personal mission. You have you make a promise to what you're doing as a healthcare worker. And so they take pride in that every day. And now for them to see us investing and reinvesting in not only them as an employee and the value that they bring to us and to our organization and to our community, but also investing in the facilities they work within and where people are coming every day and make them feel good about that place. So like I said, again, we feel like we are always smiling on the inside, but we need the whole organization on the outside to feel the same way.
And I love that y'all are contributing to that sense of place and literally doing a facelift to match what the city is doing.
And there's beyond your employees. There is an impact in this community for what you're doing. The fact that you are reinvesting like you're reinvesting, you're doing this you're putting white paint, all of those things, that's building pride within our community. And so from Chris and I's perspective, we want to say thank you for what you're doing because it's great. We're pumped about it.
Well, when you think about, the rich history that St. Francis has in this community and the roots, the generations that we care for, the one part of the year we usually see that the most is at Christmas time when our babies are born, and we bring out the stockings that each new baby goes in, and they take a picture. You'll see the sometimes 4 generations of all of them having their stockings still for that many years that our auxiliary have been doing that. So when you look at that, you see the pride, and you see them choosing to want to come to St. Francis for that purpose, that opportunity where you can actually come get your health care. It is a faith-based organization. People are praying together for, so there is that sense of a higher being helping you to have that level of care.
And speaking of an anniversary,
Yes.
you're also involved in the foundation, and y'all just had a 10th anniversary.
I was always saying my fun part of all of it is wonderful. I wouldn't be there if I didn't. I wouldn't be there for 16 years, and I love every day of it. But, you can do all the business development side of things and look at the future and the strategy. Where you really get to see the impact of what you're doing is the better part of that part of the foundation. And the St. Francis Foundation is going to be, it's actually 10 years old this year.
Hey.
Yes, we're very excited about that. And over the 10 years, we've given back about $4.5 million to the hospital. All of our funds go directly back into the hospital. It is not something of an organization that gives out. It is to make sure and ensure that we are all receiving the level of care that we want in this region, that we expect, and continue to elevate it.
And you said earlier, support and elevate.
Yes. Yes.
And I want to talk, you just finished this weekend of golf and tennis, and I know you're tired.
Yes.
And you're still going with it. But talk a little bit about, because I think that's really, people sometimes don't understand, when you say we invest back in the hospital, tell us what that means. That's equipment, that's all kinds of different things that people don't know that's how the hospital gets it sometimes, and that is such a cool thing. Talk a little bit about that piece of it, though.
So when I've spoken, every group I speak to, I always say, this is your hospital. And they're like, well, we get this. No, I said, this is your hospital. You actually are the shareholder. You're receiving if there's a profit, any profit that comes back goes directly back into providing the type of services we offer, paying our staff, ensuring the building is staying up to, like what we talked about, perception and reinvesting in it, the equipment, the technology. It's continually going back in to continue to make that facility the best it can be. So we are all the beneficiaries of that.
Right. Well, our whole region is.
Yeah.
All the way into Arkansas.
Exactly. So when things like the foundation are able to exist, and then that's the reason why they exist, is there are many times when we want to do some of these projects, and I'll even look at the facility master plan. That master plan is probably in the upwards of $350 million plus over the next 20 plus years if we can fulfill doing all of those things. And all of those things are whether we can allocate and find and receive the funds to do that. And it's a joint effort of funds.
Sure.
It's what comes from the hospital and the services that we provide. It comes from donations in our community through our foundation. It can come from grants. It can come from federal dollars, state capital outlay dollars, the various things that we work with our legislators and our chambers and our organizations with to be able to secure those funds. So it's a joint effort to make that occur, multi-level funding. And we're very proud to be able to do that. But again, we are all those who are reaping the benefit of that. Our entire region is.
So talk about the golf and tennis tournaments.
We had a great one. So this is our 10th one. We actually partner I've been doing the foundation for 8 years now. Gosh, it's my 8th year. And we partnered with Thomas Morstead, who is our now punter of the Miami Dolphins. He was punter of the Saints and Falcons in between that. But we have been able to, over the 10 years that just that event has been going on, we've raised over $1 million with just that event. And this year has been our best year ever. We're actually just finishing up all our numbers. I would hate to count and say the wrong thing before the count's finished. But we had a great weekend. We had 160 golfers playing.
Wow.
We had tremendous amount of support from our very, very large donors and continued supporters of that event. We added a PGA-style leaderboard this year, so that was kind of an exciting thing to do. And then a couple of years ago, Tori Fisher now, started our tennis tournament. We do that on the Saturday, and we had last year 64 players. This year we had 93.
Wow.
So it's grown that
great.
much. And I will tell you, a good majority of that difference of increase this year was from Franklin-Winsboro area. So when we say we really do touch people and they want to give back to it, it speaks right to it. Yes.
So you just said giving back. How can an individual, maybe they can't participate in the golf tournament or tennis tournament, can they give directly?
They can give directly on our website. You can go to stfran.com and actually do the give press the give button and
Right
you
there.
can give there. We do another event each year, which we do a car raffle. Or last year we did
Right.
the 50K giveaway.
Yeah.
So this year we'll be going back to doing a raffle, and that'll
Right.
actually start in August time frame. So, and then of course over the years we'll evolve to other things. But one of the things we've really prided ourselves on doing is that we have so many good organizations in our community that do so many good things. One, never duplicate what they're doing. Be a
Yes.
partner, and that's what we've really tried to do, is be a partner. So we stick with 2 events in a year and a lot of individual donations throughout the years that help to make us get those goals that we want to reach at the end of the year. This year, our biggest project is the NICU redesign. It is a $2.5 million project, which we are just about closing out on our first $1 million that we've raised for it. So very excited about that. It's actually 45 years this year, and it has only been remodeled once. So it
45
needs
years of service. It's time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's very functional where it is, but
Sure.
it could be better.
Right.
And that's really what we're trying to do, elevate the experience for the families that are going to be in the NICU, and also elevate the experience so that the staff and the clinical, both clinical and providers, the physicians, have what they need to be able to provide that high level of care in there. So
That's
making it a little
amazing.
bit more functional for them
Yeah.
and a little bit more aesthetically appealing when you come in.
Continue to elevate the state
Again,
of healthcare
elevate,
in our
yes.
This has been fascinating.
Oh, it's great.
Thank you for the work you're doing.
Well, we appreciate and are very honored to do it, and very privileged to be the provider in this
Well,
region.
you all are a true blessing. You really,
Thank
truly
you.
are.
Thanks
So-
for having me.
This has been Ouachita One Table, a deeper discussion of the business community. I'm Christopher Kelly. We're the West Monroe, West Ouachita Chamber of Commerce.
I'm Roy Heatherly with the Monroe Chamber of Commerce. We've been talking with Aimee Kane with St. Francis Medical Center. Thanks for joining us.
You've been listening to Ouachita One Table with Christopher Kelly and Roy Heatherly. This podcast is a partnership project of the Monroe and West Monroe, West Ouachita Chambers of Commerce, and was produced by Godly Works Production in the Louisiana Catalyst Podcast Studios at the Benoit Community Center.